Hey guys, Tyler here. It's right now 3:21 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm right now live on YouTube. We're under a tornado warning until further notice. So yeah, we're gonna stay on this and keep eyeing you guys. But yeah, we're gonna keep the camera rolling for a little bit. Hello. So yeah, I was gonna take a nap, but yeah, the weather radio went off and it's a tornado warning for us. Here's Mr. Storm Chasers reporting it. This is in Cass County, which is Marcellus, Vandalia. That's not that far from here.
Extra moisture lifting the atmosphere.
Bristol, Constantine. Three Rivers is up here somewhere, but yeah, it's not showing Three Rivers right now. But yeah, it's on Constantine, so we might have a tornado.
Correlation coefficient of radar here on the right side of the screen.
Cass County until 1 p.m.
That match up with your rotation.
We're getting hail and going downstairs.
But a sign that there is a tornado on the ground. In fact, it is still on the ground.
Yeah, it is still on the ground.
Yeah, there's a
presentation on radar to suggest that as well. And then, as you mentioned before, too, some hail at least up from Cassopolis now up to Penn. It looks like via CC or radar as well.
Now, for example, Newburgh, that is where this is heading. It's close to Calvin right now. And it
oh, shit.
At 35
WSBT.
per hour. Now, overall, it's just two counties that are included in this warning. Cass County and St. Joseph County. It's not for the entire area, but I am going to zoom out, put the radar back up there, and showcase kind of a larger picture of what we are experiencing with that storm. Another thing we look at when we look at these storms, we look at how they're looking on radar and the different shapes. So this is just a static image of what the radar looks like. You can see this little hook in the radar. That's called a hook echo, and this is showing a very similar thing to what the rotation was looking like. When you have that hook echo right there, that's where you have the winds wrapping around one particular spot in that thunderstorm. So Calvin likely going to be seeing the strongest part of the storm, and the part of the storm would be potentially causing a tornado to form or one actively developing. Newburgh, exactly like we talked about, in the path of that storm.
Newburgh is Jones.
Drifts northeast, pretty much on Highway 40, M40 between Marcellus and Newburgh, going to be in the path of that storm in the next few minutes, and then moving into St. Joseph County, Michigan. Again, just a tornado warning for parts of Cass County and St. Joseph County until 3:45 on Friday. Right now, we're seeing that rotation increase in the last.
It's hot and muggy out, but I don't hear no sirens.
As this to move out. Things that we're going to watch for will be what happens in the next few minutes. Let me put a storm track on this storm for you. I can track for you how fast this is moving. Again, 35 miles per hour. Timing of this is everything. Brownsville likely going to be seeing that storm right now. 3:25.
Or Newburgh.
You have a few minutes, probably 3:31 local time is when
Ooh.
it's going to make its way to you. Newburgh by 3:39, and then Chamberlain right on that county line, 3:54 p.m. So again, we're dealing with a tornado warning. You can see kind of the outline of that warning. It's not for the entirety of Cass County, but a good chunk of Cass County dealing with the threat from this storm and the far northwest corner of St. Joseph County in Michigan. And it's for this storm right here. So I'm going to come back and show you where exactly we're looking at the possibility of there being a tornado when we look at this radar image. It's right here. Calvin, and we're seeing and that storm kind of wrapping around itself. That is where, if there were a tornado actively occurring in this storm, that is where it would be. Now, at the moment, we do not have any reports of a tornado on the ground, but that does not mean that there is one occurring or not. So I need you to treat that.
Here, the hook, if we just take general reflectivity,
Yeah, they're telling
we never want to see this on radar.
the hook.
I'm going to put the rotation back on because in addition,
Ooh, outside Cassopolis.
with all the pretty colors, we can look at a specific element of the Doppler radar to highlight where we're seeing winds spinning. And near Calvin is kind of that bull's of what we're looking at. Essentially, the green and the red, when that comes together, that shows that the winds are rotating. They're spinning around a certain point, and it's right over Calvin right now. So again, if a tornado were occurring in this storm, that is exactly where it would be. This is going to continue.
Hit Jones, Newburgh. Jones is 10 miles from here.
Vandalia, Jones, Michigan. That's where we're likely going
Jones
to
is 10 miles from Three Rivers.
communities. That's where that storm is going to pass as it approaches Newburgh. Now, I'm going to actually go back and put this on a loop so you can see how the radar and how the rotation has been changing.
Now, Porter is Union, Michigan. Montville, Constantine.
Radar updates every few minutes with this storm, so I'm going back in time here. And this is from 3/6, not too long ago. Look how tight that circulation was just to the north of Edwardsburg. I'm going to go forward in time, and you can see as it moved closer to Calvin. In the last 5 minutes or so, you still see that.
It's in Jones. I'm going downstairs.
Threat for a tornado is there. We have a tornado warning in place, and that's why we are on the air with you right now. So for those of you who are
Get my
just
Crocs
tuning in,
on.
I know we've got people coming and going. The latest information we have for you right now is we have a tornado warning in place for Cass County and St. Joseph County. It is for this storm right here that is actively moving through the central and eastern.
Until he loses the signal. We're going to stay on until he loses the signal.
Until 3:45 p.m. Tornado is one of the threats
15
of the
minutes
storm.
left.
Hail, gusty winds. This is a situation that is very fluid. It's changing very quickly. We talked about hail being one of the threats. I put the hail tracker on the radar. Now as those colors disappeared, I am not seeing the radar pick up actively on any hail. So that is a good sign in terms of the hail. But we're still dealing with the threat of those rotating winds and spinning winds, and therefore the threat for a tornado. So let's pop the radar back on and let's put storm track on this, because again, this is a fluid situation, folks. This is moving to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. So let me adjust this. So 35 miles per hour. That would put us looking at Three Rivers by the time that we get to 3:56 p.m.
Ooh, okay, 3:56.
At 3:41.
That's us.
That is going to be the closest community that we see impacted by this storm.
So 3:56, we're going to hit 3:56.
The clear.
So-
Zoom in closer to
So we got 30 minutes
some of
left.
those highways, because that is going to be key.
86 and 60.
People, if you have friends or family that are in that area, we'll zoom in closer. So latest update, latest scan that we're looking at, I'm going to point things out for you. Here's Vandalia, Jones, here's Newburgh, here is M60, right there. The storm is southwest of M60, but again, it's moving at 35 miles per hour, and so we are seeing this change very quickly, and that rotation and
Tornado
possible
warning.
tornado will likely
This is a tornado
cross M60
warning.
here within minutes. Now, Jones itself, the center of town, the center of the community, is not included in that tornado warning. However, I want you to treat this as if you are included in that tornado warning. Newburgh, kind of the same thing. Now, here's M40 going north and south from Jones, and that storm's likely going to cross M40 as well as it moves to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. Now, south of Vandalia, kind of where we see the orange, the red starting to kind of hook back in, rotate back in on itself. That's what we call it. Go. That is where we look for the possibility of seeing rotation form like this. Right where we see this kind of rapid, we would see a tornado occur on the ground. That's kind of that area that we look at. We have that a dark red color, those really dark orange colors, like we see hail, and very visibility right. Williamsville, you can see you are technically outside of that warning as well, but the same thing like I talked about with Jones. Even though you're not technically included, I would treat this as a severe storm. I would treat this as an imminent threat as the storm continues. I would have put rotation back on here, those kind of red and green colors, to highlight where we are seeing rotation in this storm, because that shows us where a tornado is possibly in that storm. All right. I am just getting a report from the people. We do have trees down in the area. Now, trees being down does not define that a tornado went through. That could just be damaging wind threats, the result of damaging winds. However, again, we want to treat this as if we have tornado actively occurring. So I've circled the area on the radar, specifically on the velocity scope, to highlight their rotation. When we look for rotation, we look for where the green and the red come together, kind of almost looking like a donut shape. This is showing the red and the green coming together, but the thing that I like about this scan, it's not very organized. It's not very tight. It's very broad. When it's very broad, that means that we could have a storm that is rotating, that is spinning, but when it's a lot harder to actively be a tornado. But again, we need to talk about the threat still being there for areas along and intersect in Jones. If you are west of where they intersect, that is where the storm is actively sitting right now. Newburgh, you are like that is community as well as Jones that are closest to seeing this storm. And it's one of those things where we got to give you as much time ahead of time where that storm is occurring so that you can be prepared. All right, let's reset. Look at those current warnings. Talk about what's going on. We have one storm in our vicinity right now. It's the only storm, but it's a big one. It's a tornado warning. It's from now 4:45 p.m. for parts of Cass County and far northwest St. Joseph County in Michigan. Let's put the radar on there because that is going to be the biggest story. I put the lightning on there as well. I'll take it off here in a minute, but you can see where Cass County moving to the northeast at 35. Let's take that lightning off there for you, just so you can get a sense of what we're dealing with. There we go. There's the storm. In terms of its scope, it is not a very large storm. It's one storm, but it is causing the possibility of seeing a tornado on the ground. Specific of the city, here's Vandalia, here's Newburgh, here's M4, that kind of line is that highway, and down here, south of that highway, is where we're seeing the area on radar where the tornado actively happening. As of now, we do not have active confirmation that there is a tornado on the ground, but we have had reports of damaging wind. We have had reports of damage across the area, whether that's from damaging winds, whether that's from a tornado. That is still being determined as we speak, but it is definitely something we are continuing to watch as a storm. I'm just looking to get some information from the National Weather Service and looking at what they're saying.
Good night, guys.
The storm